Hello, I'd like to welcome you to English 101, Writing 1 at Somerset Community College. We'll be doing a lot of writing and reading through these few weeks that we'll be together. I'd like to kind of talk to you a little bit about how to navigate your online English 101 course. And of course, you should remember that you can always ask me questions. You can email me. I will try to help you all I can. But at least maybe this will make you feel a little more confident about what you can expect. I know many of you are in college for the first time. And honestly, you're in this course because you have to be. Anyone who gets any kind of degree in anything has to pass through this course. But that's okay. I will still try to make it as relevant for you as possible. And even if you don't see writing as a major part of your career plans, writing is important. And it's important not only for communicating, but for thinking. Because what writing does is it helps us both organize information and decide what we think about it. My name is Wanda Fries. It looks like French fries, but it's pronounced in the Germanic way. My husband's ancestors were German immigrants. And I'm not overly formal. I don't mind as long as people are kind to me as I try to be kind to them back. They call me by my first name. Sometimes we all forget when we're online and we're in a virtual environment that the people on the other end of our emails or our text messages or our tweets are human beings. And sometimes we do not always behave in a virtual environment as if we recognize that it matters what we say and how we say it. And of course, in a writing class, that's really important because one of the first really important writing lessons that we'll think about is audience and purpose. Because if we want to produce words on a page or in speech, we want to make sure that they have the impact that we want them to have. And that we do not alienate people that we are trying to convince of a point of view. I've been writing and teaching writing for about 35 years now, so I'm getting pretty old. And I will tell you that in all that time, I have never seen a student in my English classes who completed the work fail the class. Now, I can't promise you all an A, not and give the course any academic integrity. As you might imagine, if everybody gets an A in the course and they are shown not to be A-level writers, certainly the degree you have supposedly earned won't mean much. And so I can't promise you that you'll make a great grade, but I can promise you that if you do what I ask you to do, I've done it for a long time, and your work will improve. You will probably make a grade that you can make peace with by the end of the term. The big thing, of course, is to keep up. Keep up, keep up, keep up. And remember that it's a writing class, and if we are in a writing class, then we have to write essays. It's awful. I'm sorry. But I do have students in in-person classes sometimes who really just love to come and they love to read the material and they love to talk about it, but then they get away from the college environment and go to work or whatever, or go hang out with their friends, and then they never get around to turning in papers. And those are the ones that I think I hate to feel the worst. There's a photo of me, if that helps. It helps you get an idea of who you're listening to. I'm the short one on the right. The tall one is a guy who teaches geology, so you might run across one of his online courses as well. So this is what your Blackboard course web shell looks like, at least when I click the student thing. Yours may be set up a little bit different because we're transitioning to something called Ultra, and I'm not real sure what that exactly. This is what I get when I punch the student preview button. And I arrange my courses maybe a little bit different. Because to me it gives you fewer clicks. So instead of having one tab that says course content, basically I have all of the modules in the menu items that go that make that black ribbon up on the left side of your page. And hopefully you have started here because that's where you have found this item. And we'll talk about what all of that means. The landing page, which should be the first thing that you see when you open up Blackboard, should be the announcements. That way, if I've sent you an announcement or made an announcement that something's due, a reminder or whatever, you will be able to see it immediately. Links to the Purdue OWL. I will talk to you a little bit about the Purdue OWL in Module 1 because the Purdue OWL is just essentially an online resource that if you have run-on commas or run-on sentences, or you have comma splices, or you have fragments, or you have some kind of grammatical issue, you can look that up and correct it. The Purdue OWL also serves as our MLA, Modern Language Association style book. So we use those guidelines to set up our papers from the very beginning, and then when we start doing research, we use those guidelines to set up things like works cited page. And if all this is really familiar to you, that's great. If it's not, don't worry about it. We will go through everything step by step, and you won't miss anything because you did not have a unit or a module on that particular topic. Now, I'm going to tell you that you will not see all of these modules. You're seeing them all now, so you can sort of see how the course is organized. I think I've already gone ahead and split the syllabus into its own place and made a separate Module 1, because what Module 1 basically does is, again, give you an opportunity to read the syllabus, understand the syllabus, download the software, Word that you're going to need for the class, figure out how you're supposed to format your materials and submit assignments. And please remember that you can always go back to these. They will appear for each week, but that does not mean that you can't go back in some of them. I will leave the ones that you might be looking at more than once open for you, so that, for example, if it's time to do the first paper and you're like, well, I looked at that 3 weeks ago, don't worry, you can go look it up, and if you have issues, get in touch with me, and I will make sure that you have the documents and a way to review that material if you want to do that. Okay, so we're set up basically, I think, in about 14 modules. And we are building, we write our first paper pretty early, and then we build more toward more complicated papers as we move through the class. This is what the front of your syllabus looks like. When you click that syllabus tab, it will be there as an attachment. One thing you need to really know, and it's highlighted right at the very beginning of the syllabus, is you must complete your first assignment prior to the due date, or I am required to turn you into financial aid and admissions as a no-show. Now, there's really good reason for that, okay? Let's say that you had some financial aid, you have a financial aid award, and for some reason you just decided, okay, I signed up for 5 classes, but I just won't fool with that 5th class because I'm not going to take it, and but you didn't remember to go in and drop it. Well, you're still enrolled in that class. That counts against your financial aid award because there are only so many courses that you have. It's fairly generous, so you don't have to worry too much about it. but you want to save that for courses that you're actually taking, and you sure don't want to fail a course that you meant to take. But it's also for us. This is not an open-ended kind of thing. We start on August the 17th. We begin work immediately. And if you don't log in and do the work the first week, you're already behind. So what happens is if you don't do the work the first week, I have to turn you in. If I make a mistake, if I overlooked something, I have all kinds of places in Blackboard I can look to see. And of course, if I make a mistake, that's different. But you can't start the class a week late. You can't start the class 3 weeks late. You have to get in and hit the ground running. And again, that's to protect you as much as it is to protect, loans going out for classes that students really didn't mean to sign up for or did not intend to take and complete and finish. The best way to get in touch with me is via email, and I'm working remotely, so I'm at home. I'm around. I will keep my email open during these office hours. I have a lot of work to do that has to do with setting up my classes. You could see that this took some few minutes for me to do, as well as to do all the screenshots and papers to grade. So I do not sit at my computer with the email open because I'm so old. If I don't concentrate on what I'm doing, I am really probably going to make a mess of things. But I almost always answer emails within 24 to 36 hours during the week. So in other words, if you email me at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm not going to get it. I'm in the bed. I've been in the bed probably since about 10. But you've emailed me, and I will get it when I get my coffee in the morning, and I may work for a little on something else, but I will be looking at my email every day through the week, and I will get back to you. Occasionally, although as someone said, I don't know where we're going to be going this year, but this is the COVID year. I'm not always available during the weekend. My son's getting married, going to try to have an actual wedding in September. I guarantee you I will not be answering my emails during all of that. But I will be back on business day on Monday. Now, I do get a lot of emails, and I'm sure you do too. And sometimes I overlook them. I try to triage them sometimes. It's like, okay, I need to answer these, and these. And then you get interrupted and you don't go back. So if I do overlook your email, just remind me that you emailed me. That doesn't bother me. I will be able to find it. And again, that doesn't happen a whole lot. But if it does, you won't hurt my feelings, okay? In case of irreconcilable differences, I suppose, and again, I can't remember the last time there's been an issue, maybe 20 years. My department chair's name is on here. If you think I'm not getting some issue that you think, or that we talk about and I have it resolved. This is a course in writing, and we're going to write several papers, and you are expected to be professional in all of your college writing. You don't have to be overly formal, but but write like a grown-up. Be professional in your correspondence with your professors. Be professional in all of the work that you turn in. And that means also taking care to look at the grammar and punctuation and editing and proofreading. And sometimes, as I have to do, and this is just advice from your teacher, sometimes I have, when email first became a thing, and you may have done it too, sent an email and didn't really realize how the person who got the email would respond to it, and sometimes was misunderstood, or frankly, sometimes too well understood, but would have made the same point much better had I waited till I wasn't upset or mad or whatever. So just all of your work needs to be as if this were a job, because that's really what we're preparing you for, the professional world. And those of you who are already out there, and I know some of you are well aware of what those consequences can be. I've also photocopied, I'm not going to go through this whole syllabus with you because you can read it, but my syllabus, like everybody else's, then also tells you what's required. There is a textbook to this class that will have some readings in it. If you have trouble, let me know. I will try to help. Obviously, it's an online class. You need to use Blackboard. You need to be able to access a computer regularly. I've had students, and again, most students know what the deal is, and they're fine. But it's my responsibility to make sure you know what yours are. And so, I've had students show up, 3 weeks later after the last time I'd seen them, and they hadn't turned anything in, and say, well, my computer was broken. Well, I'm sorry. Um, I'm sorry that your computer is broken. You need to go to the computer lab, or you need to find access to a computer, because we did not stop working because your computer broke. So make sure that you know that is your responsibility. One thing I will say here, since I'm going to have to redo this next year, probably, because hopefully we'll have a vaccine and we'll be back to something resembling normal life. There on the front page of your student, where you look at current students on the SEC webpage, there's been some money allocated to help students this particular year, because many of our students who might want to come face to face have had to choose this option because they really just can't leave their children. They are compromised in some way with their health, or their parents are, and so they've chosen this method. Also, even for face-to-face classes, they're essentially hybrid courses, and you have to have access. So there may be some financial help to even do things like get internet help, paying for your internet, if that's going to be an issue for you. Also, you can now buy a laptop through the bookstore and charge it to your financial aid as a requirement for completing the course. So, if those things are helpful to you, be aware that they are out there. And if you email me, if you try to find it, can't find it, email me and I'll find somebody who knows where it is. Okay? There is some required software that you have to download. You do need Microsoft Word, and I have provided in that Module 1, I've provided a link to where you can start getting that. You'll need to follow the instructions. I teach English. You also will need to download Adobe Reader. And you also have to do research, which means that you will have to use the library. And our librarians have been working really, really hard to make sure that you have access to tons of materials. And I'll be honest, back in the good old days, I went to college before the invention of the personal computer, if you can believe such a time existed. And I had to physically go to the library and take notes with a pen when I did research papers. And I'll bet you I had access to maybe a tenth of what you've got access to online. So just be aware it's there. And I've also talked about the Purdue OWL, and there will be links. I'll also, when I download your papers to grade, if you're having an issue in your writing, I will also probably, if I won't promise to do this, but a lot of times I just go ahead and look up the link and paste it into your paper so you can find it. Now, again, I'm skipping pages. I'm not going through this word for word because you don't need me. You probably are very interested in how your work is done and what you're going to be doing and how it's going to be graded. Um, you'll have quizzes, you'll have short assignments. Um, I hate discussion boards, and you probably do too, but I always feel like I should use them. So I always try, and we'll see how that goes. So you may see some where they work here and there. You'll also have quizzes, and you'll basically do those like you do any test in any online class. But I use rubrics for grading, and you may know this already, but all a rubric is, it's a scoring guide. And it breaks down all of the criteria that I will be using to grade your paper. Now, it's important because grading writing is more subjective than I'd like because the computer can't do it, but it's also less subjective than students think. So basically, I use the departmental student learning objectives that all the English teachers have agreed on, and probably anywhere you go in the country, pretty much, that's what you would find to be pretty close to the student learning objectives and what we want you to be able to do. I've broken mine down a little bit more because I want you to look at the rubric before you do your paper. And then I use the rubric to grade so you can see specific areas of strength where you scored highest, and you can also see where the problems or issues are that you might want to work on a little bit more. I don't let students rewrite papers. I will have you can let me look at your paper, and I will give you sort of I will eyeball it. I'll say you really need to go back and edit this more, or your introduction needs to be stronger. Based on the rubric, I will give you general guidelines, um, and I will certainly tell you if you've plagiarized or there's some kind of serious issue with your paper. But that's your responsibility. You are supposed to be able to write basically in standard English, and we work through our papers in this class in stages. So you will turn in notes, you will turn in an outline, and then when it comes to write the paper, um, you will have started on it long enough that you should have been through at least two or three drafts before you turn it in. So yes, I'll look at it. No problem whatsoever. We also have Smart Thinking, which is an online tutoring service. We have tutors in the library, but the job of a tutor is not to correct your grammar. The job of the tutor is to say, you need to correct your grammar. So students sometimes, I think that they'll get it proofread, and that's not the way it's supposed to operate. Now, I do a weighted average, which is the other thing that students sometimes get confused about, because you can't just add up all your points, add up all the points due, and then divide the total points into your points and get your grade. Essays way more than your everyday homework, but the homework adds up. It's 30% of your grade altogether. So any assignment that's not an essay is considered homework. Outlines, preliminary work, cited pages, quizzes, whatever. But the major essays count in increasing order, so that the last one will be worth a whole lot more. And then I didn't copy in all of this, but I did copy in at the bottom the course outline that's going to show you what we're going to cover in each module for each week. So as you work through the modules, you will click to open. Then you'll find folders. The first one is going to have two folders. It's going to have materials to study, and then it's going to have assignments. Now, once you've opened the folder, you will have access to work through each item or to submit the assignment. And I just opened up the materials to study. I didn't open up the one that has the quiz. But basically, your job is to work through everything that is there in the order that it is listed. But one last thing I will tell you about writing courses. Um, you 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 don't need to memorize all of the rules of MLA style documentation. All right. A lot of working through things is knowing where you should look it up. And so you need to work through all of this. But please remember what I told you earlier. When you are getting ready to work on the next paper, you may need to go back and review some of this material, and that's okay. That's what I would do. All right, so we're ready to go get started. Please feel free to contact me if you have issues. I am here to help you. And I'm not a mean person. Most of my students would probably tell you um, I'll help you do whatever I can. I don't want people to do poorly. I want you to be as successful as you're willing to do the work to be. Look forward to working with you. See ya. Bye.